One. And it says we're still starting. We must be on air. Yay, we're on air. Welcome to this week's AA Social Show. We've got a quiver full of arrows and the business detective Ola Agbamoni today. And we're going to be talking about infographics.
Hello everybody. So I didn't realise you were waiting for me to say something. Hi, I'm here all by myself. Sarah's there with a hunky guy. Happens to be a husband.
Yeah.
Hands off.
And it looks like we've lost him.
We've lost him. But look how lovely Sarah is looking today. That is just a picture of loveliness. You look amazing. You really do.
Well, that's because you nagged me on Facebook. She said, you don't look like this on the Hangouts. So here I am having to brush my hair, whip a bloody hot brush through it, and slap on some makeup and make small talk while my husband reconnects back to Google Plus. And oh yeah, I'm wearing mascara too.
You know, I think we could do a completely different show. Yeah, because we could actually do. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin, can you hear us?
Hello, Kevin. What was I saying about Google Hangouts? So the other day I did a presentation on Hangouts, and I said,
I can hear you fine.
Work. There you go.
No.
Hi, Ola.
Hi, Kev. How are you? You doing
we've lost him again.
I'm doing good, thank you.
Oh, excellent.
Should we jump in with some questions, Ola,
No,
before
I can hear you guys.
Oh, excellent. It's whether or not the audience can hear you. Where's your lower third?
Don't even go there. He's on the iPhone. We're going to be sucked up all of our time with technical things if we ask him where his lower third is. So let's jump straight in. Kevin, how did you get into infographics?
And hang on a minute. You have to tell people what infographic is.
So
that was my next question.
Kevin, tell the people first of all what an infographic is, and then how you got into them, because it's a bit of a jargon for some of the newbies, you know. So.
Right. An infographic in its basic form, it's a visual way of getting information out. Okay. So it tends to be, it can tell a story, it can give information out, it can be a to and a from post, it can be a comparison post, it can be anything like that. But the basis of it is it's very visual against heavily worded. Okay.
Okay, so we've got that. So it's like a cartoon then, like a comic strip.
You know what, they can be, but generally not.
Okay.
Generally, I mean, we're talking about these in sort of a business environment, so they tend to be a little bit more focused. They can be quite amusing, but they've got some real good information to share in a very quick period of time. Okay. So if you compare it against a blog post, which is quite wordy and it may take 10 or 15 minutes to read, you can get through an infographic in maybe 2 minutes.
Right. Okay. So it's a condensed way of sharing information that's very visual.
Correct.
Is there a set format for them? Do they look a particular way? Is there a template?
They can look any way that you like, as long as they give the readers value and information. So, for instance, you could have a big image in the middle with bits coming off of it, sort of like you can have them as pie charts, you can have them as the old-fashioned type flow charts, you can have them as mind maps. So they can all look very different, but the overall term that it's put under is infographic.
Right. So information graphic, really. Kevin.
We've lost him.
Stopped.
Yep, we've lost him.
Yeah, you girls are in and out. No, I just. Yeah, I think the old things up in the sky were just turning location at that point.
Right. So I was
the
saying
satellites were moving.
Information graphic. Infographic, short for information graphic. Yeah. Okay. So we've all got that. So do you have to be a graphic designer to produce a good infographic?
No, but you've got to be. I think you've got to be slightly creative in the way that you do it. Otherwise, it comes across and it looks really rubbish. Yeah. So you've got to have an eye for a good visual. Yeah. That's basically it. There are tools and there are systems in place nowadays where you can go online and places like Pictochart where you can just set up a free account, and they do lots of templates, and basically you just move them around and you can put your information in. So if you're looking at starting it and you're feeling slightly less confident, that's always a good place to start, because a lot of it's done for you apart from the actual information. Okay.
Pictochart.
Pictochart is one of them. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put all this up under the post. Is it pictochart.com for people who are so eager to go off and do it now?
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is because we don't want them to leave the show yet. So we'll tell you at the end.
So you still haven't answered us how you got into doing these.
Well, it was a couple of things really. Firstly, I work with someone that doesn't really get questioned, and when they tell you to do something, you go off and do it. I'm sure you can all probably work out who that is. So that was probably one of the reasons. And the other thing is you know, I personally really like. I'm not a big reader. I don't like writing lots of stuff. You know, that's just my thing. But I do like looking at good visuals, and when I search around the internet, I look at the visuals first and the words after. So I wanted to put out more stuff that we put out in a way that people like myself could identify with quicker.
Okay. You're right though, because some people are very visual, other people are very auditory, so they'd rather listen to stuff, and other people like reading. Yeah, so it's good to have that mix. I think one of the nicest things for infographics for me is that they do have a bit of all of that, because not only do you have the visuals, but there is text on them and words as well, and so you can, like you said earlier, you can get through them quite quickly. So how do you pick a topic for infographic? What do you tell us? So you're at home, you're sitting there, Sarah's asked you to produce one. Walk us through the process.
Well, it's funny because often they're like blog posts, okay? So if you think along the same lines as those, and we was talking about this today, and I said to Sarah, you know what, I'm going to, we started doing this new course, and people were having problems logging in to our site and logging into their own WordPress sites. So I said, you know what, we've done videos and they're not quite getting it. And one of our clients rang up and said, look, you can write all the stuff in the world and I can't compute it. Is there a way you can make this simple for us? So I said, right, okay, I'm going to do an infographic that will be like if you can imagine like a flow chart, that will tell people when they go onto their site, this is what you put in /WP-admin. You put your details in, and then it'll be, did you log in? Yes, go that way. And then a nice smiley face. No, actually put this in and reset password. Go to emails, go back to, do you see where I'm going with this? So a lot of the time it's solving problems for people, which is always a great thing to put out there because then people will be looking for it. And also we like to do stuff that's quite topical, so stuff that's been up in the news recently, and you know, Facebook is one of those where people are saying, you know, is Facebook worth it anymore? Is it good for business? Do you get business from it? So you can do things like Facebook versus LinkedIn, and the benefits and the drawbacks of both as to where they are currently, where they've been. You can show history, you can show stats, so you can put information out there that people actually are looking for at the moment, and therefore that's probably how one could potentially go viral if it's that good.
So how long does it take you on average to do one?
To do
with me standing over your shoulder about 5 hours. No, move that.
Right,
no,
okay, Ola. Let's rephrase the question. So how long does it take to create an infographic? So providing you've got the information, okay, so if we're just talking about actually putting the visual together without doing the research for the information, because that can be you don't know, it could be a 5-minute job, it could be a 2-day research project, I don't know. So put that aside, but actually putting it together, it can take anything between, I would say, an hour to 4 hours. And it depends on what system you use as well.
Pretty much like an ordinary blog post. So I think, so if you were thinking this is a quick way of not writing a blog, then that's not really the solution. If you want to do quality stuff, you're going to have to put the time in.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think you've got to remember that when you put this stuff out, like all stuff that you put out online, and you girls are much more experienced at this, you know, you have to put value out and act. You know, people that read it, you have to respect the fact they're reading your stuff, so you have a duty to put quality out. And
Absolutely.
if you put out rubbish that you've knocked out in 2 minutes, they'll identify that, and that will reflect quite poorly on you.
So if you're, because obviously one of the things that most business owners are the most short on is time. And
Yep.
so if you wanted to start doing some infographics and pay somebody else to do it, what sort of costs are they looking at? And you know, have you researched the market? Is there a more cost-effective way of doing it? Can you get a package? How's it work?
There's all sorts of ways of doing it, and you can go online and you can buy graphics that go into infographics, because obviously that's one of the challenges, is actually getting stuff that you're actually licensed to use to put in there. So you need to source, and that's a whole different topic, I suppose, finding graphics that you're licensed to use. But there are packages available specifically for infographics to buy, so they can be quite useful. To save time, if you're looking for stuff to actually put into an infographic, you can repurpose a blog post and make it into an infographic. So you've already got the content, you've just got to actually put it together. So that can save some time. As in cost, it really does vary on what's involved. If you're looking to outsource it to somebody that does it for a living, it can be anything from 150 quid up to probably 1,000 quid. It really does depend on how in-depth it is and what research has to go into it. And I know that's probably quite a broad answer, but I think that's probably the most accurate answer. If you get them done for under 100 quid, I'd say probably the quality is not going to be brilliant.
Okay. So if you're going to spend like 200 or 300 quid on an infographic, how can you repurpose it? How can you use it again? Because it's like one blog post. So what ways do you use them again? How do you get most value out of the one infographic?
Well, infographics you can put anywhere. And this is the thing, and as marketers, you guys will know that with articles that you write and blog posts that you write, they can't go on the majority of all of the platforms because they're written for different places. And visuals have one thing that probably blog posts don't have, and that is the fact that you can put them out onto things like Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, and LinkedIn do like graphics, by the way. And people love to share them, so therefore I think that they get shared around much more and get more eyes on them than a normal text document would do.
I forgot to mention Pinterest. Our biggest
Sorry,
post
and Pinterest, of course,
that we've ever had. We get 500 visits a day on Saki Media from we put together. I said to Kevin, here's this post on writing tips. Put these 10 writing tips into an infographic, and it was something like 10 writing mistakes, and it was very simple yet effective, and the call to action was, if you like this infographic, please pin it to your writing Pinterest board. Within, I think it was 14 days, that post had got 2,500 pins, and that's our most pinned item ever. I've never had one that has reached even 1,000. I've had ones that have got 400 pins, ones that have got 250 pins. I've got to give a shout out to Angela Boothroyd, who may or may not be watching, because whenever Angela pins one of my infographics, I get around 50 or 60 repins from her boards alone. So go and make friends with Angela over on Pinterest, because if she repins you, you're going to get a lot of attention. And I find Pinterest and infographics were just made for each other. It's just pure visual love.
I think I agree with that, but you know, I sort of didn't really go down the Pinterest route for a reason, and that's because people just combine the two, graphics, Pinterest, where graphics can go everywhere. You know, and I think people forget that, and I think that they go, okay, yeah, I've made this really nice picture, or I'm a photographer and I can only put my stuff on Pinterest. Yeah, actually, it's a brilliant platform, and yes, people will search on there and find your stuff and pin it much more readily. But actually, other platforms work really well for it, and it's only recently people have cottoned on that actually LinkedIn is a great platform for visuals, because everybody else is still putting text on there. So therefore, your visual will stand out much more on there than it will to everybody else's text, because it's a visual. and it's like one visual in 500 text things that have gone through. So of course it's going to stand out. You know, so I think people need to be really, really aware of that. Not just, it's almost like stereotyping where it should go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does that make
something I wanted
sense?
to say was that, you know, for a lot of people who are in absence mode of social media, you know, you add another platform or put it on Pinterest, and like the eyes roll back in their head. So the nicest thing about graphics is it just, no, seriously, you know, I talk to people, they say, whoa, not another one, oh my God.
Do they talk just, is that South London talk, is it?
No, that's the talk. That's a frustration talk of people who don't want to go on another social media platform. But what I was going to say is, your point is very correct, that if you do a graphic, whatever platform you're on, you can put it on it. You know, so like if you're on Facebook and you've written a really long blog post, yes, you can put a link to the blog post, but a lot of people don't want to leave Facebook to go and read a long blog post unless they really love you, because they know you're fantastic like we are. But on average, most people don't want to come off the platform. Whereas if you put a picture, it's great on Facebook, like you said. If you put your picture on and you're only on Twitter, it's great on Twitter. If you're just on Google Plus, it's great. Wherever you are, pictures work. Even on YouTube, you can put your picture on YouTube by just filming it. You know, do a screencast of it, and you've got your picture. Make it into a slideshow. Pictures work almost everywhere. So that's the nicest thing. And for those of you who've never seen an infographic, you probably have, but didn't realise what it was. They tend to be very long posts, you know, a long picture. So they're not the normal little square pictures because they've got a lot of information. So like Kevin said, don't be put off by the big companies who do infographics for kind of like the media, where they're huge and they've got so much data. And, you know, because I know a lot of people say, oh, my infographics will never look like that. But there are loads of infographics, you know, they don't have to be as complex. You can, like you said, do an infographic of your 10 best customers feedback. You just put it in a graphic. It's about laying it out, making it attractive. And like anything in life, give it a whirl. What do you got to lose? Nothing.
Well, if you're struggling with the idea of it, whack open PowerPoint and visit a website called the ittrainingsurgery.com. This is organised by a wonderful IT trainer called Shelley Fishel, and she regularly posts up tips videos. And one of the recent ones, making simple infographics using PowerPoint, because you can put in all of the shapes and drag and drop them and add in your text and the visuals like that. And then of course you can either just take a screenshot or save that particular slide. So it's a really simple yet effective way of creating nice infographics for blog posts and sharing on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Kevin said, there are lots of tools. I often don't think the tools work very well because the tools are more designed for people who've got a lot of data to show in infographics. So that's the one thing I'd caution you. If you're somebody who wants to show the you know, the change in people using Facebook over the last 30 years in terms of gender and sex and whatever, then yeah, those template ones are very good because they allow you to fill in data sets. Whereas if you're looking more of an infographic which is about information and taking words and visualizing words, then things like PowerPoint or some of the other ones are better. So just be wary, because I know when I first started looking, they said, where's your data set? You think, what data set? Oh, I've got to go find some statistics. Oh no. So yeah, just so it's horses for courses. If you're, say like you're an accountant and you want to show, you know, how much tax avoidance there's going on compared to last year and how much, you know, those are really good because you just literally upload your data set and it will do like Excel does and put it into a nice graphic. And again, you could use Excel to do infographics because if you put your data sets in Excel, they will show you pictures and you can screenshot them and put them in. So it's think of it as a puzzle picture. Whatever you want to show, you can put on in a single picture and tell a story through that picture. I think they work best if you travel through the graphic as it tells you a story, as opposed to lots of random things that just happen to be on the one picture.
Well, this morning I was recording a video and it was talking about content repurposing, and one of the things that myself and Kevin had been talking about quite a lot was what additional things, and you've mentioned what you can turn these infographics into, and we were saying how easy it is to record a video and explain the information that's on the infographic so that you can have it on screen and then just talk somebody through it and then scroll up and down the visuals. So as well as getting your infographic, if you spent, say, £300 on it, you can then turn it into a video. And you've mentioned yourself that you can also take the concepts on the infographic and turn them into slides and create slide decks and then upload them to places like SlideShare, Prezi and Slide Rocket and all of the other slide sharing places. So there's so much you can actually do with them once you've got the finished infographic. It's not, oh, I've got it, it's been pinned a few hundred times, I'm getting people to my site now, I'll forget about it. You can actually turn it into video and turn it into slides, like you say.
Also, there's another thing that I used to do is lots of very big companies create infographics of strategic information, even about your industry and that, and they are very keen for you to share them because obviously they spent a lot of money on them, and then you can get their embed code. So what you can also do is create your own post, comment on the information, add your own value to it, and and then share that through your own community. So you've got the benefit of somebody's really nice infographic. They may not have seen it on the original website, so you're bringing them information, but then they've also got some of you, so it's on your website as well. So you're sharing your SEO juice with a bigger company, but still you're getting people to see you as an expert because you've brought that information, and you haven't had to go to the trouble of producing your own infographic. So again, it's a great way to create more content. Even if you don't want to create the infographic, you can still use other people's and credit to them.
And that works also for you, that other people can use yours and link back to your site, sending you traffic when people are curious to see the source of the information.
Absolutely. So all in all, Kevin is very still. I'm assuming that he's become an infographic.
I'm still here.
Oh, you're still here?
Yeah, I'm listening to you girls, to and froing. It's like a game of tennis going on here.
Can you handle it?
Right, I've just looked over at the time. For once, we're actually on schedule. Is there any questions? Did you have any questions, Ola?
For Kevin, yeah, when you coming round?
Oh, gosh. You've just seen it. She's propositioned my husband live on Google+. Where did she come from? South London, people. South London. That's why we have the M25, so we can drive straight around London and avoid people like Ola.
Sarah, your mind is really in the go. I haven't even finished the sentence. I was just going to ask him, will he come around and watch football with my husband? Because I know they both want to watch the final. There you go. Look at you. Into conclusions.
For those of you that don't know, that's a long-running joke between me and Ola about Kevin. When I discovered through Ola that my husband had become Facebook friends with her, and he didn't even mention it. He obviously stalks my Facebook list and becomes friends with everybody who I'm friends with.
Not only friends on Facebook, we're friends on Candy Crush, aren't we, Kev?
Are we? I haven't been on Candy Crush for ages.
You keep sending me lives.
It must be automated. It's that annoying thing on Facebook that just does it, But, yeah, I must admit, I do go and stalk all of Sarah's friends because I've got nothing better to do in my life, and
and should be creating infographics.
Yeah. Yeah, have you done that infographic yet, dear? Oh, hang on a minute. I've just got 3 more friends of yours to stalk. Can you just give us another week? Yeah, that's a regular conversation we have in our office.
So, Sarah, I've got one question to ask you because I'm really curious. How did you get your husband to do infographics for you? Because my husband, even though he does, he works as a teacher, he's actually a trained designer. He did art at university, and he's never done an infographic for me. So what did you do? What did you have to put out to get?
Well, there's always incentive in life, isn't there? Perhaps you're not incentivising him enough.
Okay. Any suggestions there, Sarah? Maybe you can tell me off.
Well, what works for me is simply saying, can you do this infographic, dear? And then when he's not looking, turn your head, lick your finger, put in a tear stain and another tear stain, and then look back and say, it's really just not working for me.
I'm not sure that would work with my husband.
No, it doesn't work now. After 20 plus years of seeing that trick, I just like watching her lick her own face.
Right, I think it's time for us to go before the conversation totally degenerates and I'm having to explain to my subscribers why I lick my face.
Or how you lick your face. Probably a better question. Anyway, so we'll all be back here next week. Yeah, next week. We're back next week with another amazing guest who will not be one of us or a family member.
It's not my fault our guest cancelled. It was Lilac, and she Skyped me yesterday and said she couldn't make it. And
It was going to be Lilac. You didn't tell me this.
Well, it was meant to be a surprise, you know, the old gang getting back together, talking social media.
Surprise. Oh, is she coming next week then?
No, she's not. She's cried off because of the summer holidays, you know, these working mumpreneurs. So it will probably be September before we get her back on. And, yeah.
Favorite excuse. My kids will get... Your kids home yet? My kids are home from today.
Are they?
Yeah, because
Wow.
my kids break up earlier than everybody else. Their last day of school's today.
Ours is not, we've got another 2 weeks, and then it's 6 weeks of joy and blessings. I may have to do an infographic on the wonders of what you can do to speed up the 6 weeks holidays. So we'll see how that goes.
They've all become my interns over the 6 week holiday. I've decided they can work for me. They're going to do 2 hours a day. I got Gideon doing some work for me yesterday. He went on and downloaded the database and searched the information and found me some web addresses. He wasn't at all happy about it, but he did it in the end. And Otis, who's going to do some research for some images to share on social media platforms. And they're not happy, but I did the... I'm sorry. I always do stuff for you without complaining. This is not fair. When are you going to return some of these favours? Sob, sob. It seemed to work.
I think child labour had been banned decades ago. Obviously, in the bubble of South London, you know, child labour, it's put them up a chimney, no, get them to work with Ollie, you know.
Kevin, my children are 15 and 19. So
they should be working full time at that age.
Absolutely. They should have lung problems from cleaning the chimneys at 12. You know, so.
No, I said to them, rather than just sit around all the summer holidays, because my son's going to university, I said, either get a job or work for me. And the other one, you know, when I was 15, I had a Saturday job. What's the world coming to?
Right, on that happy note, we'll have a guest for you next week that isn't Ola, that isn't related to me and working in my business and talking about infographics and how I abuse him in the workplace. We'll have somebody, a third party somebody, and if you've got any questions relating to social media, pop them under the video, email Ola or myself, or hook up with us on Facebook or Twitter and send them over, and we'll endeavour to answer them on the show next week. See you soon.
Bye.